Greetings and salutations, fellow slushy enthusiasts. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. We're here to talk about AEW Full Gear 2021. But before we get into that, and I'm going to try to be quick, I'm going to try to be concise. Okay? Go. Like the video. Comment on the video. Doing both is preferable. If you're not already subscribed to us, please do so. I have a Patreon. You could give me some money. That'd be very cool of you, and it would let me make more time for videos and shit.
Like
we have another...
a guy from Ohio.
Yes, yes. We have another series, the Journey of Wrestling series, which is way more popular. So you probably are vice versa on this one. But if you haven't watched it, and you're here, this is a wrestling podcast. You'll probably like the series. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/WhiteRaven. I have books. You can buy them. One came out more recently than the others. So that's cool. And I have a Discord. And you can come hang out with us and chit-chat.
Don't forget to subscribe. And I think we're done.
And, yeah.
Yeah. Spiel over. Time to talk about wrestling.
Let's talk about wrestling. What's the antidote to Kool-Aid? Because I feel like I've drank it at this point.
I'm so happy. This wrestling show was so good, we watched the fucking pre-show. And are happy about having done so.
Yeah, go back to every other podcast we've done, with the exception of like 3 maybe. We always say, fuck the pre-show, we don't watch the pre-show.
We watched the pre-show. I was so excited to watch this show that we watched the pre-show. And it was good. I'm so happy. Like, alright, so since the last AEW podcast we did, it was on AEW Pay-Per-View. We have watched basically every show, like the 2 weekly shows, because I know they also do Dark, which I...
Yeah, we don't watch Dark.
But we've watched Dynamite and Rampage every week since then. So we're all caught up, and it should tell you how much we're enjoying AEW that we're both watching weekly wrestling again for the first time in like a decade. And then Full Gear shows up, and spoiler-free review, this is fucking great. There's like one okay match on this card, and every other match is fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tuesday by this point, if you're watching it on the first day, and if you are, thank you. Shout out in the comments. So, you know, you've heard what happened. I don't know that we need to be super spoiler-free, but if somehow you've ended up here on accident, and you've been meaning to watch Full Gear because your friend taped it with a VHS tape off of his pay-per-view,
I think they can probably, well, that's illegal. They have to have a big, long message right beforehand.
Give me your location for no reason.
Tony Khan. Tony Khan, we have the inside scoop.
Yeah.
But
I'll be on the Khan payroll. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, same. But, like, I'm sure there's somewhere they can buy it.
Probably. I don't fucking know. I watched it live like a cool guy.
Because I'm paying for pay-per-views again. The only reason we watched WWE pay-per-views for like 6 years was because we had the WWE Network for like the back catalog, and they were free because we had the network for other reasons.
Notably, we have Peacock now for less a month, and we don't watch the WWE pay-per-views anymore.
No, we're free now.
Yeah.
Like so many people who are all elite, we've escaped.
I cannot tell you how many times, because I do keep up with wrestling news. Even when we weren't watching any pay-per-views, I kept up with wrestling news. I can't tell you how many times I have gotten up in the mid-afternoon, like I do, and turned on my wrestling news channel of choice, which is Cultaholic. They're good boys. And seen the headlines, WWE shits into the open mouth of 6 professional wrestlers.
AEW giving out free cookies to everyone backstage.
Sometimes the headline is, Tony Khan gave out a cookie with raisins. Someone was unhappy.
Meanwhile, Vince McMahon took out his actual human penis and began hitting people in the face with it.
Anyway, this was one hell of a card. I was really hype about this card through the whole build, and I really enjoy AEW. And I don't know that I have like a favorite wrestler yet.
I like so many of them, it's actually really hard to choose.
Yeah.
That's so wild. That's so unbelievable to me at this point in my life, that I love so many of the wrestlers on this show, and I want to see them succeed and do well, that I don't know which one I like the most.
Yeah. We started out strong on the pre-show with Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida against Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter looked mad about something.
She seemed a little butthurt today. This was a good match. This was a fine match. Didn't overstay its welcome. Didn't blow the world on fire, but it was solid wrestling.
And I don't have much. The theme of the night was paying homage to Eddie Guerrero because it was the anniversary of his death.
And almost many of the matches. I don't want to say all, but it felt like a majority of the matches had at least one nod.
Yeah.
There was a couple notable ones in this match.
Yes. Usually it was either a titty dance, a frog splash, or a Three Amigos suplex.
Or a titty dance followed by a frog splash, or a frog splash followed by a very pained-looking titty dance. Which I loved personally.
Yeah, this was a quality contest. It was a nice preview of what we're going to see in the TBS Championship tournament going forward. I'm excited for this continuing. We are not as hot on the women's wrestling in AEW as we were the women's wrestling in WWE.
I find it really hard to quantify why. I think it's just a lack of the top tier talent. Because there are really good wrestlers in AEW, really good women's wrestlers. Hikaru Shida, great. Thunder Rosa, great. Britt Baker, great. But they all feel like they're lacking something.
It's like they just haven't been put over the edge. And whatever that je ne sais quoi or series of
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, is missing. They just don't have it yet. But we are watching AEW build a women's division. And
I'm excited to see where it goes, but it is the one part of AEW, the one singular part of AEW where I would say the competition is still probably putting on a better product. I wouldn't know firsthand because I don't watch them anymore, but I'm reasonably confident.
Yes. So moving on to the actual card.
Yes, the first match being Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Darby Allin.
I really liked the build to this. I really liked all the MJF being a fucking asshole and Darby just not taking it.
Yeah. Can I just say, MJF is he's the best heel in the company. And it's not close. He might be the best heel in professional wrestling working today. He's so good at his job. He is effortlessly better at the exact character The Miz spent a decade perfecting. Which is so hilarious to me.
And he does it with
panache and just like a clear enjoyment of his time.
He doesn't usually use the really low cheap shots like rapping kayfabe hating man does. But when he does, it is often in contrast to his really tired old wrestling stereotypes of making fun of your hometown and how ugly the audience is. But for some reason, even though we're all smarks, it fucking works. Fuck you, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yeah, because he's going, I am offering for you to hate me, please boo me. And you boo him.
Yeah.
Because that's what he wants.
Yeah.
But now to be notable, it is worth noting for MJF that occasionally he will go so below the belt that people are IRL mad at him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, he pisses off old heads in wrestling all the time because he goes to some personal fucking places with some of his insults.
But he doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't have to.
No.
That's clearly a passion project of his.
Yeah. He's just so casually good. Like, effortlessly good. And speaking of effortlessly good, this wrestling match.
Fucking what the hell? It was so good.
It was 22 minutes long, and legitimately, afterward, the thought popped into my head, wow, what a great pay-per-view. Well, time to do something else.
It was main event quality.
Yeah.
It was the first match on the main card, and it could have gone on last, and I would not have blinked an eye. It was fucking astoundingly good wrestling. I will note for people who watch our Journey of Wrestling videos, I often complain that doing like a non-standard sort of dusty finish on a pay-per-view will piss off your audience and the match will lose stars. And I think I'm going to try stop complaining about that because I felt this match lose stars for me because of the finish. I literally felt myself go, and then like the star rating for the match declined because I did not like the cheat finish.
It's a risk.
It's a risk, and I don't, for me personally, know that it paid off. Although I imagine this feud's probably not over yet, so it'll probably go someplace good. I honestly would have rather seen MJF win clean than see this.
I don't know. It depends on why.
Yeah.
Like, okay, say Darby's hurt, and I don't know. I've not heard any reports of this, and he can't finish the feud. But it'd be cool if he came back and finished the feud later, a la, certain people later on in the card. So let's have him win not clean. Let's say the feud is continuing now.
For me, these sorts of finishes work better, and this is entirely personal. I don't think this is necessarily even good criticism for like what you should do in a wrestling booking sense. But for me, the cheat finish always works better if it doesn't feel like the heel needed to cheat to win, but that they did so because fuck you. Whereas this very much felt like a desperation move.
I mean, maybe, but maybe that's to build Darby up because you've got literally your best heel in the company. Heat this boy,
and he's such a good heater. Everyone gets over when they're up against MJF because everyone is the audience would cheer for a fucking mop and bucket if it had a reasonable chance of beating MJF up.
Moppy is a beloved member of wrestling history. I will not have you talk ill of her.
But her tag team partner, Bucket? Nah.
Another thing I'd like to shout out for this whole show is the psychology in these matches. For about 80% of the matches, was incredible.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I saw two wrestlers tell a story in the ring. Until AEW.
And now, they all do. There's clear, defined, story in each of these matches. The selling is consistent, and not just, they can remember to pretend to be injured where they're supposed to be, but then their opponent is naturally using that to press that advantage in almost every match all across the board. And they use that to tell the story. They change what moves they're doing. They make decisions based on on what's happened previously in the match. And I know that must sound like such elementary preschool wrestling shit, but it's so lacking in the WWE that it is bafflingly awesome to see now.
Agreed. Let's roll on through to the next match, which is FTR against the Lucha Brothers for the AEW Tag Team Championships. This was the second match of the night, and the second match of the night where upon completion I went, wow, what a great pay-per-view. Time to go do something else now.
They run the actual risk of this turning into a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, oh my god, this was the greatest move I've ever seen in my life, love fest, because there's just so little to complain about with all these matches. They're really fucking good. So I will specifically state that I'm not a huge fan of FTR. Dax Harwood actually had a singles match recently that I legitimately went, dude, why aren't you a singles wrestler? You're literally so much better at it.
They just love tag team wrestling.
They just love tag team wrestling, and I want them to succeed in their lives where they want to succeed. And boy, howdy do they. This match was fucking great.
I mean, everybody put in the work, but near the top of my list for potential candidates of favorite wrestler in AEW are Penta El Zero Miedo and Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix does not pay attention to physics.
At one point, he legitimately, wall hacked over the ring, and, look, I've seen people walk across the ropes before. That's impressive. I certainly couldn't fucking do it. I'd fall on my fat ass. I've never seen someone run full pelt across a ring rope before like they're in a fucking Chinese martial arts movie.
I have to say as well, it's a beautiful contrast to the last pay-per-views match which was all, blood and guts and steel cage and thumbtacks and everything, because they had none of that, and it was still just phenomenally athletic. The only thing I have to say negative about this match was the finish. As much as they built up, when it finally came, it was like, oh, okay.
Oh, the match is done now? Okay. I'm so tired.
It was exhaustingly good. Cheering and being excited and being on the edge of my seat fucking took it out of me. And then...
Yeah, and that was the first 2 matches of the card.
Lucha Brothers won, by the way.
Which was the right call, I feel like. FTR's got their AAA tag team titles, and clearly things aren't over between these two. But they might be, because AEW blissfully lets feuds come to an end and then moves on. And I'm still not fully acclimatized to that being reality.
I love it. I love that they don't have to put a bow on fucking everything. I mean, they do sometimes, but sometimes it's just...
that makes it feel like a bow instead of an interminable fucking slog of, oh my god, John Cena and Randy Orton are wrestling again? No, sometimes the feud's just fucking over. This guy won. Move on with your lives. That's so great.
So the next contest is part of the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. It is, in fact, the final for that.
To determine who will get the next AEW or for a future AEW World Championship match.
Yeah, this was the one that Mox had to cut out of because he's going into rehab, and that's good.
Yeah, good for you.
Good for Mox.
On the baffling likelihood that somehow John Moxley's listening to this, best of luck to you, best of wishes to you and your family. Hope you're going through everything well, my dude.
Yeah, it's a hard place to be.
Also, please don't come hurt me. You're very scary.
Is Mox the new Jack? Is that what's happened?
No, hey, that's not fair. Mox is a reasonable human being.
I don't know, man. I've read excerpts of his book.
He's not New Jack.
Okay. Anyway, I feel like the entire time this tournament was kind of a foregone conclusion. Like, it was really only a matter of who was winning the final, and even then...
Yeah, alright, so I would have... this is Bryan Danielson.
Oh, I said it again.
Don't worry, JR, it happens to me all the time. Versus Miro. And I would have fucking marked out if Miro won. I'd have been out of my seat, cheering, roaring to the heavens if God's favorite champion was continued forth on his journey of redemption. But we all fucking knew he wasn't gonna. Come on!
But they made it look realistic that he might.
Yeah, I was hope lived until it died. And I wasn't mad about it because, yeah, Dragon won. No shit.
And unlike the distinguished competition, you're not mad that Dragon won.
No, well, because Dragon, his heat is more natural here. Like, he's over, but the crowd is also willing to boo him.
Yes.
It's not the thing that made me dislike Daniel Bryan as a character is because he got so toxically over that for the next 3 years, no one was allowed to be main event face.
I mean, WWE was living in the wake of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and nothing could work.
Bryan Danielson has a much more, like, fluid character, and he's someone who you can choose to root against, and that feels natural. And that's cool.
I really love his gimmick of Reasonable Man.
Reasonable Man who, at the same time, is genuinely, like, nice and friendly and would very much politely request you to get into a ring and beat the ever-loving bejesus out of each other.
I love seeing good submissions wrestling, and this night had a lot of it, but this match is definitely the highlight of the night. Rest holds, what's a rest hold? It's a working hold or nothing, baby.
And it was a clean match. It was consistently told. They consistently kept with the story that they built up in the lead-up, which was that Bryan Danielson had never beat Miro. And if that's true, I didn't bother looking up if that's true. But even if it's not, that's a good story.
It was also that because Danielson had fought throughout the entire tournament and Miro was just slotted in.
Yeah, he was
against
just sort of
Orange
rested.
Cassidy of all people.
He was rested and ready to go. And they kept with both those stories. But one of these people is fucking Bryan Danielson. I love Miro, but it would have been really easy to have these two wrestle as complete equals. They didn't. They maintained a consistent story that Miro was bigger and stronger. They managed to actually convincingly sell in the year 2021 Bryan Danielson as the underdog in a match.
I mean, he was up against Miro. Have you seen that man's thighs?
He's the size of, like, mine, and mine are not muscle.
He's a big fellow. He's a large... I just want him to be able to fuck his wife.
Like, it's a low bar, but I want him to clear it. Please go fuck your beautiful wife who loves you, please. Miro is fucking astounding, by the way. I just want to say, every week on Dynamite and Rampage, both, he'll show up and cut the best promo in wrestling history and then just leave.
That also looks on paper like the worst promo in wrestling history.
If I read out one of Miro's promos right now, it would be 1, cringe, and 2, awful. But he sells it because of the commitment and the fire.
In the ring, these guys were both really fantastic. Great spots. What the fuck else can you say? Let's move along to the big... I think... This is only saved from being the worst match of the night by the fact that I like the people in it better
than the other match that was of about equal quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically same. I have fucking... The Super Clique are so goddamn charming, they have fully turned me around.
Sure, yeah.
I like the Young Bucks now. What the hell is happening?
And I love Jurassic Express.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, I've liked Luchasaurus since before AEW. And this was a fun match with a lot of fun spots. But, like, there were some weirdness, like Adam Cole's fake question mark blood.
I understand. Later in the night, there was some actual, like... Probably, like, a hard way, I think, in one later match.
That's what he said.
Yeah, but, like, it may not have been.
Maybe not. It just didn't look
very
real.
Bright.
And it just didn't do what that does. You just did physics.
But, and some other tiny, like, weirdness. It was a big spectacle spot fest of the match because the Young Bucks were in it, and that's the only wrestling match they have. So...
I mean, when you're, like...
They can have others, I'm sure.
They did
This is a choice.
And now they're done, and now they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Right. Look, they've won me over. I love them. It's great. I love these matches. They're terrible, but I love them.
You know what else I love is how much Shivani hates them.
Oh, he's clearly having the worst time. The whole match.
God, one of these days I just expect him to come out and Shivani be like, fuck these guys, and leave.
But, like, it was a big fucking spot fest, ridiculous fucking... Two guys could have had a lightsaber fight and it would have felt right.
Yeah.
And...
I wish it was a little better, and I didn't fully get the whole... Jungle Boy has to build up the chutzpah to do a one-man concerto. First of all, why can't they just do a regular concerto? Well, I guess I understand with the concussions and everything.
Chris Nowinski will teleport into the ring and just begin handing out subpoenas. That's why they can't do an actual concerto.
I suppose that's easy enough to fake, though. Like, you hit the chairs.
That's what makes the noise.
Right.
It doesn't make the noise if you hit them. If you hit someone in the head on both sides with a steel chair and you don't hit the chairs, the noise that happens is different. It kind of sounds like a melon squashing.
Sort of, if you listen really close, you can hear Mick Foley going, "Oh, third grade. It's gone."
But God, that was really good. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
But that's what makes the noise is you clang it on the chair and it looks cool and it sounds great and nobody forgets how to eat pudding.
It just felt like a weird last minute thing to squeeze in there.
I don't get that storyline. They've done it a few times with a few different people. WWE's done it before where, like, I beat men up for a living in wrestling matches. That's my job, is I batter them until they are no longer able to rise from a count of 3. But now, doing that with the add of this steel chair, well, that's a step too far.
I mean, it would be a little different if, like, they had done it Well, because they did it to Christian did it to Adam Cole. So, like, if Adam Cole had not been able to make the match because of how bad that injury was, or whatever equivalent, Jay Cutler, and Adam Cole had to substitute, I could see why Jungle Boy would be like, I don't need to end a man's career.
Look, I'm mad. I'm not that mad. But no, he was fine.
Yeah, he was in the match. They sold it fine, but not enough to have that storyline.
Adam Cole sold that concerto like mad. He sold that shit for like 2-3 shows.
That is true. That is true. But I don't know. It felt a little wedged in at best.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, sure, if that's the story you want to tell. You didn't sell me on that part of it.
But I still had a good time.
Oh, yeah, it was fun. There was a Luchasaurus and a shooting star press. Fucking what?
He's a dinosaur.
He's a dinosaur. Get fucked, Brock Lesnar.
Moving swiftly along to the tag match that probably shouldn't have been a tag match.
Oh, the Christian Cage and Jurassic Express won,
yes,
by the way.
They sure did. We have Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo against Pac and Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson.
And the Glock. I fucking love that Arn has turned into that, by the way. That's just his new thing, and I am so proud of him.
I liked a lot of the action in this. I liked a lot of the psychology. Cody was kind of a weird widget.
He didn't fit in this match in the same way that Cody Rhodes doesn't really fit in AEW right now. Because he wants to be doing something the fans clearly don't want him to be doing. And he literally, actually, with a microphone, told them, go fuck yourself, I'm gonna do it anyway. Boo if you want, I'm doing this.
Which, okay, whatever on either side of that. I wasn't around for the build that caused Cody all the heat that he has.
Yeah, I wasn't around for the American Nightmare shtick to get old. So it's still fine to me.
I think this match was originally intended to be a Fatal 4-Way. I hope it becomes a Fatal 4-Way because I would like to see it. I would like to see these guys fight each other. And I really liked the Infinity Hot Tags that was the beginning of this match.
Oh, yeah, this was, alright, so one of the classic wrestling things is to pair two guys, blind tags, is to pair two guys who don't get along against like a normal team. Well, this was, two guys who were feuding. This was the rare double bluff of pairing two guys who aren't feuding against the two guys they're feuding with, but now the two guys in each team are also feuding because fuck you, my dick is larger. Which, makes for a fun match dynamic. I like that the heels were able to actually become a more functional team better. Like, they got their shit together a lot quicker because they're calmer, more well-reasoned individuals. And then the quote-unquote faces of the dynamic, although I don't know that I'd qualify Pac as a face even in kayfabe. His name is literally the Bastard Pac. Had a lot more trouble getting their shit together. It made for a good match story. This was really great wrestling. Malachi Black's great. Andrade El Idolo is fucking amazing. He's the best version of Black Mask.
Yeah, this was fantastic to see athletically. Malachi Black is injured now. I don't know how bad. Hopefully it's not Journey of Wrestling and he's not out for 9 months.
You know what? He's got a very good character for sitting back in the shadows and doing, like, cool promos, though.
He does.
So, like, you could easily transition to that. I hope he's out. I hope it's as minimal an injury as it possibly can be.
I hope his testicle didn't explode again.
Moving swiftly forward,
Cody Rhodes and Pac won, mostly because of Arn Anderson.
And the Glock.
He pointed it at Jose, the assistant, excuse me. I didn't know that man's name until just now. And he teleported backward through the air away from Arn Anderson and his Glock.
he was cringing away from him so hard he actually was airborne at several points. That dude, he sold an old man doing a finger gun at him like he was being threatened with a fucking bazooka. And I'm so pleased.
He did clubber him a few times.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway, this is what was probably the worst match of the night. And that disappoints me, but what are you going to do?
And I want to be perfectly clear. This wasn't a bad wrestling match.
No.
This was a fine wrestling match. It just wasn't fucking astounding like the rest of the card.
Right. we're talking about Britt Baker against Ty Conti. Britt Baker retained her title, as we all knew she was going to, because she's not being fought by anybody who's big enough to take out Britt Baker.
Ty Conti is weird. She's... I can tell she's got a lot of talent.
And natural skill as well.
And natural skill, and she's clearly, like, a super hard ass who could kill me if she desired, and that's respectable. But there's something missing from her pro wrestling game. It feels like she's not playing to some version of her strengths, because you'll see it in bits and pieces in the match where she does really well, but then it'll fall back down again to being perfectly serviceable, a good hand to have in your roster, but not blowing my fucking socks off.
There's 10 other women I would rather have seen in this match that are on the AEW roster.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, Thunder Rosa, Jamie Hayter, Nyla Rose, the entire tag match up there.
Yeah.
Ruby Soho.
Mm-hmm. So it happened. What is there to say about it, really? I think Ty Conti had a good look.
Yeah, it looked real cool. Very Brazilian. Brazilian.
If she looked like that all the time, I'd be more inclined to give a shit.
A good look will take you a long way.
Yeah, it will. And she had some good parts to this match, but like you said, very hit or miss. Let's get into the match I was least excited for in terms of storylines, but they kind of won me over by the end of it.
Yeah, same. I started this journey of Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk pretty sour on this. Not that I wasn't excited for them to see them fight. Of course I was. Eddie Kingston's a great pro wrestler, and the other one's CM Punk. Yeah, this is going to be a good wrestling match. But I wasn't sold on the storyline, because it just felt very old school, but not like actually good old school, like end of WCW era old school.
Yeah.
Inside baseball, dudes talking about backstage bullshit, kayfabe breaking, work shoot stuff.
It was just the kind of thing where if you weren't already there 12 years ago and didn't already know, then you had to like learn backwards as to why you should give a shit.
You gave me wrestling homework.
Yes.
That's not a thing you should do.
And even within the story of the show itself, nobody was clearly defined as who you should cheer and boo for. Now, this is a little bit different with us specifically. I feel like your average AEW viewer will either go, fuck Eddie Kingston or fuck CM Punk, depending on their proclivities.
Yeah.
They already have a built-in horse. We don't happen to have a built-in horse that hard.
Not really, no. I have a general distaste for being, as fair as I can, Eddie Kingston's character. I've never met the guy in real life. He's kind of an insufferable chode, his character. And of course, I had a long time hurt with Phil Punk that he apologized, and I felt better afterwards.
I laughed because my brain went, oh my god, is that what the P in CM Punk stands for?
Phil. Yes, Chicago-made Philunk. Philunk, by the way, is absolutely getting added to the nickname roster for him. But so I don't have what I inherently want to cheer or boo more, and I'm fully willing. I totally and you explained this to me later, but even at the beginning, I was totally willing to buy that CM Punk had been a fucking insufferable twit to Eddie Kingston at some point in the past, because. What's that? Phil Brooks was an insufferable douchebag to someone? What, you fucking perish the thought!
But they didn't sell it that way. Like, it wasn't... Neither of them had the high ground ever. The only reason Eddie Kingston would be any version of baby going into this match is if you, by default, already cherish Eddie Kingston.
Which the AEW audience, at least half of them, according to the chants that were happening... very much do. Because, like, this on its surface, if you're not really bought into loving one of these two guys and being on their side, this was a fucking this was a New Jersey bar brawl of a build. Like, this was just two fucking 40-year-old assholes who got heated at each other over, like, a football game and had to take it outside.
I mean, 10 minutes and 30 seconds of that match was a New Jersey bar brawl.
Yeah.
30 seconds of that match was CM Punk holding his hand in the air like John Cena, getting the entire crowd to live within his head.
He owned their souls for that 10-15 seconds.
Meanwhile, I was marking out because he did a move that my E-Fed wrestler who used him as a profile pic used. And it took me 10 full seconds to catch up to what was going on. Because I was like, he did the thing! Wrestling's the journey you make it, I guess. The journey of wrestling. CM Punk won, and Eddie Kingston got his shoulder dislocated, as I understand.
That's not ideal. That's not what
you want your shoulder located. Moving on to the Minneapolis street fight. This is another reason that Jurassic Express versus the Super Click. By the way, I was 2 days ago years old when I figured out that the Super Click is not only a play on the Click,
right,
but Super Kick.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
poor motherfucker.
The Minneapolis street fight was a better version of that Falls Count Anywhere match, and that only hurt it more.
I feel like the fucking street fight match was it even longer? No, it was shorter.
It was shorter. I mean, not by much.
Were they just given the go-ahead to do more garbage match stuff? Because this is the garbage match that the other match wants to grow up to be.
A man got hit with a toaster.
A toaster, I say!
There was a giant Prince symbol and Chris Jericho battered a fellow with it.
That also happened.
An old man in the crowd I've never heard of assaulted somebody.
He's a wrestling legend, as I understand it.
It was amazing.
This is a great match. This is garbage wrestling. This is what you want from a stupid bullshit spot fest. I want to see a man put into a trash can, and then you hit the trash can with sticks. Yes, that. I want to see a motherfucker hit with a toaster. Yes, that.
The water ski you were so marking out about.
I saw a water ski. I kind of thought it was a snowboard at first, but I saw a water ski in one of them big oil barrels. Speaking of, I want to see a man hit with a fucking oil barrel. Yes, that. Then I saw the water ski. I was like, oh my god, if someone this match wins match of the night if someone hits somebody with that fucking water ski, and then they did.
This was simple booking. All you wanted to see was Dan Lambert get embarrassed. And it happened. And they went the extra mile with literally everything else.
They had a really fun hardcore match around Dan Lambert getting his shit pushed in, which is all you really are there for.
Sammy Guevara jumped. He did a Hardy. For no reason.
He stood up. He maintained he established a crucifix position because he was about to sacrifice himself for your wrestling sins, and then threw himself off the most cartoonishly tall ladder.
Fucking great. Good. Thank you. Great match.
Just A+ work. And, I mean, you're absolutely right. This match is the garbage match the other match wanted to grow up to be.
I would have rather have seen the other match have been a legitimate wrestling match.
It would have been a better contrast.
I think it would have played to the strengths of all of those guys better.
It wouldn't have felt like they got blown off stage as hard.
Yes, that too. It just would have been a little bit different. But before we get to your main event, Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal is All Elite. Well, that's a fucking grab.
When ROH first, quote-unquote, closed, my brain immediately went, where is Jay Lethal going to go? And then I forgot. Until he walked out on stage.
As someone who was, for the majority of his wrestling, watching life, just a straight-up E-drone, I don't know dick all about independent wrestling, really. Even I know who Jay Lethal is.
A lot of our time together watching wrestling is you going, who is this man? And I go, he's very big in the indies.
And then I go, oh, okay. Well, then let's see how he is. But Evans me knows who Jay Lethal is, and that's a grab. That's a real grab, and he has an immediate TNT title shot that he will lose. I will be stunned if he doesn't. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, Sammy Guevara's got too much potential.
He's homegrown talent. He's one of the four pillars.
Yeah.
Those are canon.
They're canon now.
They've played that video clip approximately 40 million times. They are, okay?
I only almost got tired of it. So our main event, Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, against Hangman Adam Page, guy with horse.
Cowboy shit.
Who is not from Canada.
You really thought he was.
He said sorry.
He hung out a lot with Kenny Omega.
I guess.
Who is very much from Canada.
And he looks like the guy from Letterkenny.
He really fucking does.
He really does.
I bet you he would like that. Like if you just posted a picture of the guy from Letterkenny and said, "Oh, I saw you cut your hair."
This match was everything I wanted it to be as somebody who came into the back end of this feud.
Same. Like, as someone who is newcome to the love of Kenny Omega,
oh, yeah, here's something else for you. You come to love Kenny Omega. He was working that entire match injured.
Yeah, he's Kenny Omega. As I understand it, that's his shtick.
He's in a constant state of falling apart, and he's like, it's fine, I'll wrestle better than half the people on the roster.
Yeah, I'll put on, like, the most technically gifted match of the night effortlessly while, all my bones are broken.
Look, I'll do it if you give me 6 seconds to talk about Steve Urkel. And
good, sold. And just excellent work, Kenny. Fucking fantastic work, especially injured, but I'm gonna be honest, man, I was on Adam Page's side the whole match because his gimmick is that I really like cowboy stuff. And he really does.
He's a very honest, like, early 90s. This feud is very early 90s style.
This is classic.
Classic.
This is stripped down, fucking no frills wrestling storytelling. And it's elemental. It's two friends who fell out because one was more successful than the other, and the other didn't feel like he could measure up. And then that guy came and had to prove to himself and to the other guy that he could measure up.
This is the Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man, Mega Powers Exploding storyline for people who are right now 13.
It proves that you don't need to overthink wrestling booking.
You don't. Hangman Page won. Big fucking surprise. Now, again, they did a great job of making it believable that maybe he wouldn't. Why? Because you had Danielson win your tournament. That casts the smallest fucking shadow of a doubt that we are going to get Danielson Omega 2.
Because they did. Danielson Omega went to a 30-minute draw. There's an inherent build there of, Danielson Omega 2 for the title, maybe? Ooh, that would draw. And that allows the audience the opening, the window to buy into the idea that Kenny Omega might win the match, which makes Adam Page's underdog story work. And that's such masterful wrestling booking. A match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches up the card helped sell your main event.
Yeah.
And fucking kudos, because you don't need to overthink wrestling.
No, and you don't need to overthink and be like, Kenny wins because you expect Adam Page to win. Fuck you. Let him win. You don't have me watching an episode of, I don't know, what's a current TV show?
I don't fucking know.
Squid Game.
Sure.
Expecting that the squid is going to live through the episode because his name's in the title, and then you kill him to subvert it. You don't have to do that. Let the squid live.
White has not seen Squid Game.
It's with those little kids and they shoot the paint everywhere.
Oh, man. Oh, everything's better when nerds talk about it.